Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the live lounge. Here we are, another week gone, and here we are, myself, Phill Bars, Jarleth and Jack, Gobby Garwood. Guys, we thought it was going to be a quiet week, didn't we? Well, boy, were we wrong.
Yes.
There we were on Monday thinking, right, what can we do the show about this week? Bang, the PDC, hold my coat. Boy, have we got some announcements for you guys. Jar, we'll come to you. What was your initial reaction as the bombshells just kept coming and coming?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I honestly thought that we were going to be thinking, right, we're going to do sort of Ryder Cup sign of stuff here for a World Cup, and we're going to be discussing where events might be going. And then all of a sudden the PDC go, do you know what, lads? We'll give you some content for tonight's show. We'll give you a running order for you. I was like initially I was there going, thanks very much. Secondly, though, I was thinking, Christ, you've got to keep up to date with everything for the website. But it's been a mental couple of days, Phill.
Yeah, Jack, for you, what was it like as your notifications were going ping, ping, ping?
Absolutely mad, because I'm sat here and I'm like, yeah, Autumn Series, that's really good. Yeah, we'll get to the youth. And then they just kept dropping more and more and more, finalising with that big bombshell of the 4-event women's series. That's massive. Absolutely massive for the game. Obviously, we'll get more into detail into all of them, but I think they did it in the right order as well. So they kept things back. They got people interested early with the Autumn Series, saw how successful it had been before, and then dropped the daddy right at the end. And they know how to do this, don't they? They've got lockdown right, the PDC.
Yeah, they're quite good at their job, aren't they, Matt, Barry and the gang? They're all right. But most players are on holiday as well, so most of them have been on their sun lounger or wherever they are in the Lake District, whatever, going, okay, I've got to change my mentality here a little bit, because I know a couple of them put on Twitter that they were just ticking over, weren't doing anything in particular because they didn't know what was coming. Then all of a sudden, bang, fill your boots, boys.
Well, yeah, it was just so interesting, to be really honest. I thought it was, especially when the first rumblings came out, because we'd heard there was a couple of bits and bobs around the Autumn Series that we'd heard on a grapevine through a couple of people. We heard that they were thinking about doing Pro Tours. We were thinking it was going to be the start of this month. So to put that into that Autumn Series perspective is fantastic. And I'm with everybody that's already said this. I absolutely love this. I absolutely love the Autumn Series idea. I think it's going to be mint. The Summer Series is fantastic. And I honestly think that this is where we should keep doing Pro Tours now. Forget every single weekend. Let's make it, in particular, for the final of tournaments, for the final qualifications, let's do 5-6 Pro Tours, because this is going to be another brilliant idea. Summer Series is great. Hilda Time is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I'm fully behind it. We'll come to that in a second, but we've overlooked that the Premier League starts in a little under 3.5 weeks ish.
Yeah, you're getting ready to get back in that bubble, Phill.
Everyone,
you get ready to get back in the bubble.
Wait. Yeah, but everyone's forgotten that we've got now. I'm going to say we've got 7 nights in Milton Keynes. Barry said it, so that's good enough for me. Officially, it's still 6. However, it was in Barry's press release, so we're good with it. It's going to be 7, and I think the favourite is Glasgow that's going to go. However, I'm going to put that there now, and I'll come to you guys in a minute. I think that the Premier League will be finished in Milton Keynes, full stop. Jack, what do you reckon?
Yeah. Sadly, I agree. I don't think we're going anywhere near Scotland anytime soon. Obviously, today they've shut down pubs and bars in an area as well. They seem to be a little bit stricter than we have been in England.
You mean Nicholas Sturgeon?
I just think let's not do politics tonight, shall we? We could be here even longer. You've killed the trailer thought now. Brilliant. But I just think that Milton Keynes worked. It definitely worked. The match play is the second biggest ranking event in the year. They absolutely nailed it. It was brilliant. I think that the fan noise got better as they went through the week. The way they dressed up the arena was class. The production, as always, was top quality. This isn't us kissing arse by the way. If it was crap, we'd sit here and say it was absolutely crap. But I just think they got it absolutely bang on all week, nailed it, and they've proven it works. And I just think there's going to be a time when the PDC will need to push for fans. But until that is absolutely necessary for something like the World Championships, toe the line a little bit. Let's not push it in any political departments. Let's not try going for too much like we've seen happen with a snooker and then have to worry about getting people back out again. Let's get the events done, put on a good show, fulfill the needs of the TV broadcasters. And then when you get to your big events, go all out and watch the reception that will get from people returning to it.
No, 100%. I agree with you on that one. Right, so we've got a busy show. We're going to switch screens. Here we are. Oh, anyone think we've done this before, lads? Absolute seamless.
We're getting there now. We're getting there now.
So, first up, there is only one place to start, and that is the Autumn Series, like the Summer Series. And like we touched on earlier, before we get into this, everyone, as well, by the way, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, get your questions in and we will answer them as we go as well. We've got the question screen up so we can see them coming in live. So we will do our best to answer them if we can. If we can't, we'll just make an answer up. But no, going back to the Autumn Series.
What we do for the rest of the show.
I think this is standard. No, like you say, just looking at the Autumn Series, I'm really intrigued by this because players know what it's about now. There's, I suppose, the only questions are: is it going to be as strict in Hildesheim in Germany than as it was in Milton Keynes?
I don't think it will be because I don't think that the bubble was that strict really for the match play. From what we were hearing on the dart show and everything like that, and they create that sort of semi-bubble. Didn't they, saying that people could go in and out? I mean, Phill, you yourself were in the bubble for a while, so you knew exactly what was going on, and you knew that you could leave the hotel, but you had to stay there overnight and all that sort of stuff, which I know the PDC were trying to achieve with that semi-bubble environment. I think the rules in Germany are a little bit more relaxed because they've had obviously done it better than the UK have. Let's just put it out there. But look. I honestly doesn't matter whether it's going to be as strict. I think the fact that they're going over to Germany for 5 Pro Tours is massive, absolutely massive. And the fact that they're going to go there, and as well, of course, they've got the World Series qualified the day before, which I know we'll get to shortly. But having that consecutive day of runs is massive as well because it's going to give people a chance to play into the event, isn't it? It's going to get that chance to play themselves into a day. It's going to give themselves the chance to play into the World Grand Prix. We saw Ricky Evans play really well in the first 3 days, in particular on the day of the Summer Series, and that helped him get up into the match play. So I don't think it's going to be as strict. What I do think, though, is that it's going to be certainly interesting because I think it's going to be like the majority of Pro Tours, isn't it? Anybody who's been to a Pro Tour that we know, you don't get that opportunity for fans to get in there. You have to be very silent, no phones. It's a real strict environment on the Pro Tour. I just think it's going to be a normal Pro Tour day, just with maybe a bit more added things in there in Hildesheim.
Yeah, Gob, you?
I think it's an interesting move. I think I can understand why it's gone there. I definitely think it is to do with the fact that at the minute restrictions are a little bit looser in Germany. Geographically, hotel-wise, there is nothing on site at Halle, as far as I'm aware.
No, there isn't.
The boys that have travelled from the youth tour before, it's effectively a big warehouse hangar. It's like going down to the cowshed in Exeter, but 5 years into the future. And
no sheep shearing.
Yeah, so I believe that they must have done that because they believe the restrictions will be looser. Also, maybe travelling into Germany will be a little bit easier for those that missed out in the Summer Series. And the other thing I think of is that they're using Milton Keynes for snooker at the same time, so they had to find somewhere. That would be my last option as to why it's gone abroad. But even then, I think they would have looked at relocating to the UK first. So I think all those factors contribute to an international Autumn Summer Series, and why not? I think Germany have lost enough events this year as well, so this might keep.
Did Germany normally have some events then? Did they?
Just
was
a
Germany
few.
Normally busy for events.
70% of the Euro Tour, Premier League, World Series, the World Cup. It's like China for the snooker.
Just a quick one, Jar. We've lost your audio, mate. So if you can unmute and unmute yourself so we can hear you. Quick question from Kate on Facebook. We don't know if Glasgow has gone. We're assuming it's Glasgow because of the tougher restrictions. So that would be our educated guess, but we don't know. Is the honest answer. So Jar, can you hear us again now, buddy?
I can hear you. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Hey.
At least it's not me yet this week. Still time. We're only 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, like I say, the autumn series will be interesting as well, and for the prep as well, because will the European lads adjust easier than what they did in Milton Keynes, and will the UK players have that adjustment when they go over as well? Because intriguingly, there is a World Series qualifier on the 11th, the night before the Pro Tour. So it will be interesting to see which players take that option up and use it and which ones don't. What do you reckon, Jar?
Well, Gob, you've obviously played on the Dev Tour yourself, haven't you? So you've been on there yourself and played, and you know a load of more players that play over in Hildesheim. It is difficult to adjust, is it not? Going into foreign country, and this is it's not just for UK players going over to Europe. This is for players all over the show, basically coming in from all over the world into the UK. It's different when you haven't been in that country for so long, trying to adjust, is it not?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the boys I spoke to said they don't particularly like going abroad. It's far more easier and comfortable to stay at home. The main reason that a lot of them have gone in the past is that a lot of the English boys don't tend to travel. So without being disrespectful, that leg of the development tour seems to be a little bit easier that weekend. That's why that's got such an appeal. Obviously, you've got the German culture as well at the same time, but that opportunity to maybe do some more damage in a slightly reduced quality field is a big plus for those on the development tour. But the fact that the World Series is on the night before the Autumn Series surprises me a bit. I just think for a qualifier of that significance to be on TV that we've got limited opportunities of the year, why is that the first event? Why is it not scattered somewhere in the middle? Give the players a chance to get back into it.
But does that show to you, though? Does that show how little care the PDC really have for the World Series a little bit? I appreciate it's a big tournament. I appreciate it's a tournament for ITV that people really will watch, because especially we've not had that much televised darts on. We haven't had any free-to-air TV darts since the UK Open, which normally you'd have the World Series going on throughout the summer. But does that show really what the PDC potentially might think of the World Series qualifier itself? Like, just get it out of the way. We'll just have to, or do they have to just confirm the fixtures so that people know what they're going to be watching on the week in Salzburg?
I think a bit of both, if I'm being honest. I think that because of the Premier League situation, time is very limited to get that qualifier in. And I think that this was literally the only place they could put it, because they couldn't get everyone over.
Pro Tours aren't
for a qualifier
that lengthy anymore. They could gradually start a couple of days slightly earlier and slot it onto maybe like the Wednesday or the Thursday evening.
Yeah, possibly.
We also saw the difficulty with people getting their COVID tests back. If they have to secure bubble again for this, they can't push a late night start back for a qualifier.
Well, that's where the PDC will come in there, won't they? And they'll say that everybody will have to get there on the Thursday night if they're going to secure bubble it, and therefore then have the COVID test on the Thursday night. Friday morning will be when they get the results back. And if it's a late night start for the qualifier, to be fair, I don't think the majority of people probably play in the World Series qualifiers. If you want me to be brutally honest, I think the majority of people probably won't even turn up for it. I think that you'll probably get about 50 or 60 tour card holders that will probably go. So I don't know.
Guaranteed appearance prize money for a year that they've been void of opportunity so far.
My gut reaction is there won't be a COVID test.
I can't see how there is if that's the first event.
Yeah, my gut reaction is that there won't be a COVID test. But we've got a question on YouTube, and this ties into the Autumn Series as well. It's race for the Grand Prix. This is a big bearing on that, and And Phillips asked us, looking at the race, who do we think is most likely to get in that's not currently in the field? Well,
yes.
Looking at it,
I've got the rankings in front of me right now.
very close.
Obviously, by the way,
I wish
it is very, very close. Well, like I say, if you get dartsrankings.com, mate, it's the best. Like, by the way, just to everybody, by the way, if you ever want to check on any sort of race or anything like that, go to dartsrankings.com. It is the absolute goat of ways of doing things. It's brilliant.
Looking at it, Danny Noppett's in third, and Brendan. Well, they're all 1, 2, and 3, and all on 28 grand. So
yeah,
you'd like to think that they're done and dusted. Ryan Joyce in fourth on 20 grand is only 7 grand from 16. Now,
I'd be very,
not
very
a lot of
surprised. I'd still be very, very surprised if anybody who hasn't already got £20,000 loses out of their place in the Grand Prix.
No, I agree. But all I'm saying is, if Chris Dobey wins the first Pro Tour and
23 grand,
and Ryan Joyce didn't, he then jumps above. He goes from outside in 17 to a blink of an eye. He's then in fourth spot on the Order of Merit. That's how close it is.
I'm gonna give a couple of things here. First of all, Devon Peterson in the top 16. I really hope that he stays in that top 16 and qualifies for the Grand Prix, because he deserves to with the year that he's had already. I'm going to throw a name in here for you, and this is an interesting one, I think. But I'm going to throw a name in here for you, the big bad Dutchman, Martijn Kleermaker. I'm going to throw a name in there and say that I think Martijn Kleermaker has got not half a bad a chance of getting into that Grand Prix. In particular, in the Summer Series, he was playing really well. He looked steady, made a couple of last 16s, I think, as well, if my memory serves me correctly. And he's been playing really, really well. I've got a funny feeling that the big Dutchman might just be doing enough bits to qualify in his maiden year for the Grand Prix, which would be one hell of an achievement for him.
Well, even as low as Vincent van der Voort in 24th, after the wild match play he had, would you write Big Vincent off? And then he can go and bulldoze some cities
even lower than that. I think this is bunched up a lot more than we had approaching the Summer Series and the World Match Play. I'm looking as low as, I think Jason Lowe's got a great shout. I think he's class. I think he's one of the most underrated players on the tour. I just think he's fantastic when he gets going. If he puts a run together to a semi-final, to a final, that he's more than capable of, he could easily sneak in. Wayne Jones loves a qualifier, so he'll be at that for the Grand Slam. Don't forget the Grand Prix. I can't see anyone coming from further back than that, to be honest. I just think that's a bit too much to make up. I will be very surprised if Chris Dobey and Jeff Smith don't make moves. I know they're the next two, 17 and 18.
I was about to say that. The form that Jeff Smith's shown on the floor, I think he gets in, and I think Dobey does as well. And I'm looking at the list of the ones that are there. Jamie Hughes, we've said it before, finds a way to lose good games. Dirk van Dijvenbode, if this was 4 months ago, I'd have said shoe-in. However, we don't know what Dirk's going to do. Kim Huybrecht's in no form to write home about whatsoever, and he's only just more 1,750. Deschwan, no form at all, from we saw from the match play, still bugged by the shoulder injury. Pains me to say it. Stevie Beaton, not in the best of nick right now. Was disappointing in the Summer Series, and for his standards in the match play. I think the Ferret, I think he will get in because his floor form's good. And did bits
I think
in the Summer Series.
An unlucky draw at the match play.
Yeah, and Big Dev is in the form of his life right now, so I think he gets in as well. So the question, I think about, Jeff Smith, from outside, from the ones that are outside at the moment, for me, Jeff Smith, I think, gets in just because his floor form's so good.
I'm still going to maintain Martijn Kleermaker has got half a chance. If he keeps going the way that he was playing in the Summer Series, we've got half a chance of seeing him right now. Also, really quickly, 100%. I'm going to say there's about I think there's about 5, like you say, there's about, I'm going to say there's about 7 or 8 players that I'm really worried about. If they have an absolutely shocking summer series, I am going to be, they're going to be in real danger. Like you say, Hybrecht is fine. I think even Joe Cullen. I think Joe Cullen as well might be in danger with the way that he's playing at the moment. He's in no form either. I know he with the way that he lost to Dimmy. I know he's an eventual champion, but I'm not too sure. Like you say, Stevie B. Clayton's obviously got great floor form, but I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm so happy by the way that Dirk's up there. By the way, because I want to hear the chainsaw on Milton Keynes stage. There's no way we're not. There's no way we're going to Dublin for a kickoff. But I want to hear the chainsaw. I want to see him get the chainsaw out on the stage in Milton Keynes. That's what I want so much.
Well, could you imagine the big chainsaw in NK? Just don't let Dixon hear that.
Yeah, no plan.
We've got problems.
Don't let him hear it in the Winter Gardens or the pirate themed swimming pool in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's
seriously, I think,
Evans, buddy. No.
I think 3 of the 4 just outside. I think Bobby, Smith, and Clearmaker are all very good shouts considering the form of those above. They need to start well. They don't need to be chasing throughout the series. But I think they've all got a good shout. And I think from further afield, I think Jason Lowe's the one that's got the ability to have that superb run for a day that puts him in out of nowhere.
Really quickly. Yeah, really quickly. I know we've got a load of stuff to talk about, but really quickly about Jason Lowe. He is absolutely mint. Should have beaten Michael Van Gerwen in the UK Open. I know coulda, woulda, shoulda, but should have done that. Probably could have beaten him 10-0 because he had doubles at every leg for the first 10 legs for a kickoff. He then also was playing top 16, top 32 a lot of times on the floor. He's a dangerous, dangerous player, is Jason Lowe. He's got a couple of more years to add to his prize money to get onto the Pro Tour. And like you say, Gob, if he makes the Grand Prix, that would not be a surprise, I think, to the majority of people because he's playing really well.
Yeah, again, just before we close the Autumn Series off, Patrick on Facebook, yes, it was the same for everyone coming in at Milton Keynes. They are temperature checked and screened every day, and I think that's what they'll do for this as well, mate. I completely agree. And Sam on YouTube, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, we told you we'd get there, and yes, this is going to be a weekly thing. You're going to have our mugs and voices every week for your darting joy, pleasure. Are they the words?
That's a shame for you there. That's a shame for him there, poor guy.
So
we'll let him be the judge of that. We're just going to be here every week.
That's the Autumn Series. Now, this next one was an interesting one in our WhatsApp chat. That's for sure. The World Series is out. There will be a World Series final without a World Series event. Look, everyone moaning on social media it shouldn't happen. Let's just put this one out there. It's part of a TV deal. Broadcasters want it, so it's going to happen. It's not ranked, so the PDC can do what they want.
I saw, by the way, a really quick one actually around this. That the Champions, people saying that why would you not just put the Champions League on? Well, a couple of things. First of all, the Champions League TV deal ran out last year with the BBC, and they haven't re-signed the new one. So why the hell are they going to do that in this year of all years? And secondly, ITV, like you say, Phil, have got a TV contract all the way through to the end of the year. They've had no World Series event. They want a World Series event. They're going to get one.
Exactly. Evening, Richard, as well. Mr. Stanway has joined us. Right, so
Even
we'll do the seeds first. There's only one talking point in the seeds. Michael Van Gerwen, number 1. Peter Wright, 2. Gerwin Price, 3. Michael Smith, 4. Rob Cross, 5. Nathan Aspinall, 6. Daryl Gurney, 7. That's the top 7 in the world, isn't it, gentlemen?
It is.
Yep.
So
don't make me fight over my boys again.
So would we expect that James Wade would be the 8th seed?
No.
I said, would we expect? We obviously know he's not.
No.
But the PDC had given Gary Anderton.
No, I wouldn't expect it.
Seed.
No, I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't expect it at all.
We said we'd leave politics out of it this week. Based on the previous 7 names Phil listed, should James Wade be number 8?
But he shouldn't though. No, because he's not been in a World Series event. Because he hasn't been invited to a World Series event. Simple as plain as that.
Well,
he wasn't
invited to a World Series event, and he finished runner-up last year.
Yeah, and he was a qualifier.
Well,
he was an invited player. Sorry, he's a World Series of Darts qualifier. So let him do what he likes.
Well,
Gary was in every
Jar,
World Series event.
Going off your theory, then, perhaps Daryl Gurney shouldn't be seeded because he only had America, and Fallon Sherrock should be seed 7 because she had them all.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Make Gary up to 7 and put Fallon Sherrock as a seed then. Because this would, because gents, here's my argument, right? So on a serious note, this isn't me trying to like stir the debate or anything like that. For once in my life, the point is this: if this would have been on the World Series Order of Merit, the seeds, would it not? Would it not? The World Series Order of Merit would have gone, would have determined the 8 seeds. So on that basis,
yes,
Gary Anderson would have been seeded because he was going to be in every single event. The majority, I would be very, very surprised if Fallon Sherrock wasn't seeded unless someone had come through the field as a qualifier and got up into the 8 seed because of the amount of money that she would have got. All right, so at minimum, Fallon would have been 8 seed. I probably think she should have been higher because we all know how stage game is absolutely
in the last 4 years, Kyle Anderson and Damon Hetta have found themselves for seeds after going through the field. So it's not impossible.
No, I know. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that unless something happens like that, which is not necessarily very rare, but it's not like I say 2 or 3 people come through a World Series.
It's heavily weighted towards the Australasia Series. I'll give you that because Cadby was there as well because they get 3 events compared to everyone else getting 1. But yeah, the Australian boys have the best opportunity to dislodge a seed.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is that maybe, in my opinion, then the majority of these players we're going to be there. I mean, Michael Smith. To be fair, Michael Smith hadn't got a World Series event at this point, had he? He hadn't got Copenhagen.
No, I think chatting to him, I think he was probably going to get Germany. Was the talk?
Germany was going to get a World Series event. Bloody hell, that doesn't happen at all. No, in all seriousness, right? In all seriousness, okay. The point is that Gary going up to the 8th seed, not really a surprise. He's prime time. He's box office. I know Wade is a former World Series champion. He's defending the title that, of course, he won in 2018. He was looking to try and regain that title. But in my opinion, Gary, it's not a surprise to me. If Gary's in every event, then and he would have been, put him in there.
I think if I'm James Wade, I'm a little disappointed, if I'm being honest. But moving on to
I'm still going. Are you still going to the event? Still going.
Right. The invites. This is where it gets interesting. So the invited players are James Wade, Dave Chisnall, Ian White, Dimitri Vandenberg, Kyle Anderson, Cody Harris, Jeff Smith, Darius Labanauskas, Mensur Sulovic, Fallon Sherrock, Simon Whitlock, and Damon Hetta. Are there 2 notable names not on that list that should be?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And I think we can all agree that the glaringly obvious one straight away, being a World Series event, is Krzysztof Ratajski. How is he not on that list, gentlemen?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mervyn King.
I was going to go John
Henderson. Come on to him in a minute. John Henderson's not allowed to be Scotland. We've already discussed this.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually,
he is the real war. He is stopping the English getting in and the Scottish getting out, spreading the virus.
He was the contender in Aberdeen, wasn't he? And Aberdeen's a city in lockdown, so as actually the big Hendo weekendo is him just sitting across the Aberdeen border right now, making sure no one gets out because he hasn't left the P&J since February.
Big Nick's grounded Hendo, so he's out. But no, going back to how is Ratajski not in there, Gob?
I don't know. That one absolutely baffles me. I mean, we've seen opportunities given to some of the young Dutch boys before. I mean, we're missing the German contingency as well internationally. I mean, they're not the big ones to miss out. I don't think Hopp and Chinder in that great form. Clemens possibly, we'll get onto him in a bit. But how Ratajski, who now finds himself in the top 16 of the world, is a new market for the PDC to go at. How quickly that's growing for the sport of darts, we don't really know. But surely, if you're going to give invites, there's 4 Australasian guys down there that we've seen. 3 of them we've seen for the last 2, 3, 4 years in a row. And I accept that they would have had 3 or 4 World Series, but at this stage, would they have all qualified?
I just think, if I'm being honest,
everybody knows my feelings on Ratajski. I think he's absolutely mustard. I think 14th in the world class. I think he'll be 16th or climbing. Definitely, he'll be in the top 8. with one good run at a major this year. I just think he's got absolute stones. I think he is good to watch. I think some people would argue with that, but I think he is mint to watch. And how they've missed him out is beyond me.
No, I agree completely. The next one, which I think we all agree on, the man that sat top of the Premier League, fresh into the top 16 in the world, man on a charge, Glenn Durrant. And I can see, Jar, you're shaking your head. Would he have been an invite for you?
He would have been the first invite, Phil. He'd have been the first invited. Beyond fact,
ahead of the match play champion.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because
I'm struggling with.
Yeah,
go on, Jar.
Glenn Durrant is possibly has been probably one of the most consistent players in the PDC for the last 2 years since he's arrived on the scene. Would we all agree on this? Right?
Yeah.
To make the top 12 in the world, where he is at the moment, the top 13 in the world, without having a TV title under your name as well, is absolutely ridiculous. If he's to go and finish in the top 10 before this year's World Championships, I think Phil, you said it on one of our match play dailies, and I agree with you that if he finishes in the top 10 of the world before the World Championships, that is probably one of the biggest achievements ever in the PDC, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Massive.
He had a quarterfinal run at the World Championships, yeah, and I know I've made 3 semi-finals, 2 of them obviously ranked. He's top of the Premier League in his debut year in the Premier League, full time. How on earth is he not in the World Series darts of finals? It is absolutely ludicrous. He's marketable. The PDC the fans all over the world love him because of his strong roots. He would have been absolutely ridiculous. He would have been brilliant. He would have been brilliant to have in that tournament. I've just seen Richard Stanway on YouTube actually saying that Glenn should have been in 100%. Totally agree with you, Richard. He is mint. He's mustard. And how on earth he hasn't got an invite is beyond my comprehension.
Now, a couple of players on this list. Now, I know we're all friends with Carl, and he's a great guy, but he can count himself rather fortunate to get an invite to this, Gob.
Yeah, just a bit.
Because he wasn't in any nick whatsoever before he went back home for COVID. And I'm not sure he's picked up a dart in between, has he?
Don't think so. I know that he's left Unicorn as a manufacturer, having discussions, whatever, but that's for him. I'm glad, I'm happy for him, like, very close to him. He's a fantastic bloke, always has been, very, very close friend of mine, but his form suggests that he wouldn't have been one of the players that you invite here. Like, he would have been involved in the Australasian legs. He would have been in wherever they are this year because they keep rotating them. He is massive at home in Australia, especially after he won that final against Corey in Auckland. So I think that is counting for him. But yeah, it's a weird bunch of invited players for me.
Why has Darius been invited, by the way? What? Why has Darius been invited out of interest?
He's playing in the Copenhagen event. He'd been given the invite for Copenhagen, so I'm just thinking logically here, because that event didn't happen, they've still given him.
But we're talking about we're talking about new markets to the PDC, okay? Lithuania, all due respect, is not as big of a market as Poland at the moment for the PDC in terms of Ratajski, right? We are suggesting, are we not, that if Ratajski keeps going the way that he's going, are we not suggesting that Poland could get a World Series event sooner rather than later, and potentially be on the list, potentially getting a Premier League night alongside Berlin and Rotterdam? Would we not agree with this?
I think possibly. I still think that one player coming through maybe doesn't justify it yet. I think that the logical step would be to have a Euro Tour event there. I think the logical would go and have a Euro Tour event there and see how it develops. Can they sell tickets there and everything like that? But just going back to the ones that I think Cody Harris, I don't get that one at all. I don't get it, because you've already got the Australasian connection. it's just one too many for me.
Yeah, I think 4 from that group is a bit strong. Yes, they would have had, like I keep saying, more opportunities to qualify because of the way that the World Series runs. But I think 4 from that into 12, I think is quite heavily weighted. I just think it's a weird bunch in general. There's no real theme to it. There's no real, are these the most entertaining 12 players in the world you can find? Probably not. Mensur Suljovic can perform, but compared to someone like Adrian Lewis to watch or Glenn Durrant, is he as entertaining? Probably not. It's just a weird balance of players that possibly would have made this stage depending on former World Series events. Ian White on TV. We've been saying for years Ian White should get more opportunities and more chances and whatever, but at the expense of retired skiing Glenn Durrant, this time I'm not so sure.
No, I tend to...
And I get he's a big draw as well, but once Simon Whitlock's not seeded...
Yeah,
there's no disrespect to Simon. He's fantastic and he had a great run at the World Match Play that we perhaps weren't quite expecting, but he does get an awful lot of opportunities that other players wouldn't.
I am absolutely staggered.
Perhaps in form of some of the other players.
I am absolutely staggered, by the way. I think it's been more put that there are no German players. I know we talked about this. I am staggered that there are no German players invited into this. At the expense of 4 players from Australasia. I am absolutely staggered, especially because you're going to Austria for the finals. Like, it's not that far of a drive from Germany to Austria. I mean, I appreciate 7.5 hours to get to Salzburg from Hildesheim on the day before. So good luck everybody driving down there on that Wednesday and Thursday for the World Series after Hildesheim 5. After 5 straight days of Pro Tours and a World Series qualifier potentially. But I am staggered that there's no German players. Gabe Clement should be in there 100%. 100%. Gabe Clement should be in there.
I think being a World Series as well, Jose de Souza can count himself unlucky.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Great form.
Who does not want to see anybody coming down to Pitbull? I know you want me. Come on now.
None of the Dutch boys have been invited. And they've been massively involved for the last few years.
Well, Danny Knocker got to the final last year.
Exactly. Last year's finalist isn't there. Yes, right, he went for a qualifier, but he still made the final last year. Surely he deserves opportunity. The PDC are taking a massive risk if they're expecting the players that we're saying have missed out to go through qualifiers. They could all draw each other in the first 2 rounds and knock up most of their field out.
Yes, it's an interesting one, that's for sure. Like we say, there's a qualifier. There are still 4 spots up for grabs, so it will be interesting to see who comes through those qualifiers. But qualifiers is the luck of the gods on the day. You're not necessarily going to get the best 4 players for the tournament. Correct. I think we can all agree on that one. Correct. So that is the PDC World Series final, and we knew it would take something, but we thought the PDC couldn't trump this. However, hold my coat, we've got this. Then they dropped the women's series, and this is split darts fans all over the world. Personally, I'm a massive fan of what the PDC have done here. I think it is absolutely mint. I think it's mint.
Is he going to split you?
No, and
I think. Gob, are you going to come in and say that this isn't a good idea?
I just, for everything the PDC have said for the last decade about it being a meritocracy, and if you're good enough, then you'll make it. This just throws it out the window. They finally got a tour card holder who's proven you can make it that way. They've given up the World Cup spots the last couple of years. I don't mean it disrespectfully, but it feels like a handout too far.
Right.
So
it's fantastic
I
for
disagree.
Brandon. I understand why they've done it, and I think it's the big. Fallon caused the explosion in women's darts by doing what she did at the World Championships, and I think if the PDC don't act on it, they will lose the crest of the wave that created. That it won't have the impact it would have at any other time of the year. or if they were to do it later, if that suddenly starts losing attraction or interest, or the three established ladies players in the picture there don't go on to pick up more wins or do anything of considerable note over the next back end of the 6 months of the year. So to get them into more majors gives them opportunities for these things to happen and keeps that bubble and explosion going. But it goes back to that point I just said at the start, and we've said it when they were just giving out entries to the World Championships for the highest ranked German player that got Max Hopp in, and they did it. That's how Christoph Ratajski made his PDC debut. Let's not forget he was the BDO World Master at the time, and they offered it to him as the highest ranked Polish player, I think, at the time, or something. So it just feels like a handout too far when you've got 100 other tour card holders that have to keep doing this by competing and not being given these opportunities on a plate.
Here's my argument to that, right? Here's my argument to that. You played, as I keep saying before, you played on the development tour, did you not? Right? You played on the dev tour. Right. That's neither here nor there. You're a former development tour player. There are players that have come through the development tour that also play on the main tour. Okay, we've had Ted Everts, Luke Humphreys, Jeffrey Desvan, people like that. The reason why these players are starting to perform well, particularly from the youth tour now into the area that they are doing, Dimitri van den Berg, for Christ's sake, back-to-back world youth champion, and now the world match play champion. The dev tour works to get players through there because it gives them the opportunity to play against their peers before they get up onto the stage and onto the big stage, in particular at Ali Pali. Why is this not the same for the women's series? Give the opportunity for the women to grow, for the top players to play against themselves, to offer them a title, and for the other players alongside those women to get better. You're not going to get an opportunity for some women, in particular in darts, to get better and put them against a Michael Van Gerwen or a Peter Wright, because it might destroy their confidence. You know, play it against people that they know, well, necessarily they know, but also says their ability, and they can play those top stars to get better, to give them the opportunity. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the development tour. It's the same thing. I
don't think it is.
It's the same thing.
Development tour, in my opinion, once you pick up your tour card, you're developed. I've stated that from the start. Once you've picked up your tour card, you're developed. You are good enough to be a professional dart player. At that point, I know you have to be top 32 in the world, but again, what I said it, once you've picked up your tour card, you're a professional player. You are developed. I don't care how old you are. If you're good enough to pick up that tour card, you should not be allowed to be playing on that development tour. Despite the opportunity it gives you to progress, that should be a decision that players make. It's effectively somebody turning pro in the NBA but still playing college midweek because they're 18, 19. It's just not right. So this isn't me anti-women's darts, but I'm a massive fan of women's darts. I think there are massive opportunities. Yeah. My favourite part of the BDO World Championships for the last couple of years has been watching the women play. And I think the opportunities and the potential to see some of these players is great. But like I said, it just feels like a handout too far.
Well, Charlie's asked on YouTube, how many lady players do we think will turn up for the women's series? Judging off the reaction of social media, I say lots. I have to say, Charlie, I think that most women are genuinely excited by this, that they've got an absolute huge crack at the whip here. It's not just a playoff like it is for the Worlds. We've got massive competitive darts for them to play over a sustained period.
And so that again,
I think
that only helped the women
in
particular. Yeah, I think that can only help the women, though. I really do. I think that having 4 events back-to-back, like a development tour event, it's also as well a chance for the PDC to see if there's that many people that want to turn up and play. Because we've always talked about, would there be a women's tour like there would be with the Challenge Tour and the Dev Tour? If people come up and turn up and play, then they might say, okay, well, we'll play 8 events next year, and we'll do, then maybe go to 12 and 16 and see how it goes. Because there's no doubt in my mind at the moment. I mean, God, you know a lot more about amateur darts. Sure. Yeah, sorry, Bob. Go on.
If they're going to do a women's tour on the side, then surely the women should no longer be allowed to compete with the men again. And that's the problem with the tour, and that's the problem with keep building up all these opportunities for me. At some point, you have to make a decision whether they are just everybody is a blanket player and you treat everybody the same, or there's a separate women's tour, and you stop pushing them as potential tour card holders competing in the men's world championships.
For me, I look at it. I think
to do
the
a
men's
total
game
event
is
and a
probably
ladies
fifth.
event isn't fair.
For me, I think the ladies' game is probably 15, 20 years behind the men in terms of the men have been given opportunities after opportunities and opportunities. Now, for me, darts is a sport where the two can compete side by side. However, the ladies need that opportunity first to get their game and their standard up to where the men's is. And I don't think that one or two can do it. As we know, Fallon, Lisa, Makuru now can do it. But the rest of them need the opportunity. Yeah, jury's still out. She will be amazing, but I don't know if consistently Bo can do it. Yeah, she will in time. I've got no doubt about that at all. But I just think the women need a platform where they can grow their games, grow their confidence, and get better and better and better. So
I think
in 10, 15 years, can I see lots of ladies in the tour, a mixed tour?
Yes.
100%. But right now, I think they need that platform to grow their game.
I'm with you here, Phil. I think that if
I worry about the end game.
But hang on, hang on there, Gob. I think that I was just saying. I think that Phil's right here in saying that. Do I think that the women's series will last till the end of time with the PDC? Probably not, because they're going to realise they're going to go. Actually, you know what? More women are coming through. We're going to get more tour card holders. It's going to be the case. But in order to get to that level where they can consistently compete with the men, they're going to have these opportunities. Simple as that.
At what point do the PDC turn around and go, actually, we're no longer offering women-only events, and the uproar that would cause? It's the same with the World Series. What's the end goal? Once they've spread darts enough, are you suddenly just going to cut these events? Are you going to keep going while they become stale? Let's be honest. The Australasian leg of the tour has become quite stale. We're seeing the same players year in, year out. We've had a couple of breakthroughs from there, but the rest of the field, people like Glenn Mathers, we haven't really seen do much else. They're not pushing on from it. So these areas that we're growing the game, does this become that? That's what I'm worried about, the reaction when they inevitably have to cut this at the end if the end game is a mixed tour.
Even if they do cut it, I don't think that people will be in the biggest uproar, because people will say, well, at least you're given the opportunity. And as more and more players come through, Sorry, Phil, go on, mate. You go.
No, and I think by that point, when they do decide to cut it, enough women, girls, youth players coming through will then already be playing on the Dev Tour, on the Challenge Tour. So it's that integration of the ladies need a platform to integrate them into the system to improve their game. So this ladies series, say it lasts for
an idol.
Maybe.
Okay. God, let's go back to the old show that we did before we joined forces with Mr. Bars here. Do you remember when we were talking about the World Championships? And remember we were talking about Ted Evans against Fallon Sherrock? We said, and I will hold my hands up on this one, we didn't give Fallon Sherrock a prayer against Ted. We didn't give Fallon Sherrock a prayer. Correct. We talked about Ted versus Mensah being an absolute scrap, did we not? Same way with Makuru. I thought she'd give James Richardson a game, but I didn't expect her to get within 2 darts of winning the match. So there is still that stigma there, I think, of women's darts players of going, oh, okay, well, she beat one bloke at Ted Evans, and she beat Ted Evans at the World Championships. When she beat Mensah, that just set it all off completely. A new level. It was a completely new level. And I think that once you see more and more players coming through those ranks, and once you see more and more players being involved in it and getting to that stage, then I think that it will be good for the game. And I think we need we need that starting process.
But I'm also concerned that we don't get the top quality come through this field. They don't perform as well as the ladies have in the past. And it undoes a lot of the hard work, where a lot of them take a look and go, actually, I don't want that to happen to me. I'm still not sure that the majority of women players that can play at a professional level are at the same level as the majority of the men's tour. And that's the issue. And the image that causes, like, there is a lot of pressure on Fallon Sherrick's shoulders. A lot of pressure.
And Lisa.
Yes, she's done bits in the Modus League. Yeah, but I don't think the attention is on Lisa as much because, all right, there was a big crowd following for the UK Open, but other than that, she's doing her work on the Pro Tours. Fallon is in the media eye. If Fallon goes and we'd had the full World Series and she didn't win a leg, suddenly the reputation of women's darts is in absolute tatters.
It is, but I don't think that happens.
Yeah, she
I'm not saying it does.
current Premier League leader.
Class, and I think her finishing is mint. But I just think there is a lot of pressure on one woman's shoulder at the minute.
Right, we've debated this long enough. Cards on the table right now. Who tops the order of merit for the ladies, and who gets the Grand Slam spot?
Fallon Sherrick will top the order of merit, I think. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Fallon Sherrick will probably get the Grand Slam slot, I think. In terms of potential floor, it's top in the order of merit. I don't know because Fallon doesn't really. We haven't really seen that floor form really that much. I'll go with Mikuru. I think she is probably the most talented women's darts player in the field at the moment.
Gob?
Bo Greaves.
That's not a bad shout.
She's class. I think the form that we saw going into the back end of the Women's World Championships last year, she was mopping up BDO style floor events with the odd stage at the end for fun. I just think she's class. She's been in that environment before. And I get she's still a little bit young and can turn off.
Is over lockdown, we've seen people playing a lot of darts. Now, we haven't seen her play any. I'm not saying she hasn't. And there's a big difference between even competitive practice online is better than just playing against yourself on a board. Mm-hmm. So that's a worry for me. And that's why I think Fallon wins both. Because
possibly, but I think that because we haven't seen her name doesn't mean she hasn't been playing. We said that about Daryl Gurney, and he come out looking pretty sharp. And knowing them the way I do from the past, her brother Taylor is a very, very steady dart player who's playing development tour as well for a long time. If they're practicing together just to keep their arm in and going about their business, there's no reason why he can't keep her at a considerable enough level to go and compete at this.
100%, I agree. I'm not saying she hasn't, but off of what I've seen out in the public eye, I think Fallon wins both, personally. Just because, obviously, I know I've worked on the Modus League, so I've seen it up close, but I've seen her do some special things. Well, it's been known once or twice. I've just seen her do, even at home, just do special things. So I'm going to go for Fallon to win both. Maybe a little bit biased, but I don't care. Just before we go to the next topic, a couple on YouTube. Jack, Lisa or Fallon? Yep. Sam, imagine a full integrated tour one day. It would be mint. I agree. Daz, who's in the Denmark event? We don't actually know because they didn't release the full lineup, I don't think. Or we'll have a look at it for you. But they said that Darius Lebanauskas and Daniel Nielsen were in, I believe. And obviously Fallon had them all. Michael, Gary, Peter would have been in. Right. Probably because he was in the top 4 at the time, wasn't he? When it would have happened because Michael Smith only just jumped back in.
Well, I've just got some of them. I've just got some of them that were available. Marco Cantelli was going to be in there. Daniel Larson was going to be in there, and Marcus Rasmussen was also going to be in there. And they said 3 times Danish representative, so they hadn't made a decision on that one yet.
Yeah. Quick comment before we go on to the next subject. As we've spoken about the Players' Championships, mate, we did that first, and we're all looking forward to the Autumn Series. We all like the block of 5, mate. So
we can't wait.
The next one. Yeah, buzzing. The next one, and probably the one that the players have been waiting for. There is finally news on, in Dan Dawson's words, the greatest tour in sports. The Euro Tour is
Uber
back.
alles.
Yes, we have lost. Yes, we have lost some events, but at least there is going to be some action.
We're not going to Budapest.
Budapest is off. Prague is off. Gibraltar's off.
Cheap beer, for Christ's sake. Oh, great darts.
To be fair, we all knew that Gibraltar was off, but we obviously were under instructions not to say anything until the PDC did.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
We've all known Gibraltar's been off for a while. But yeah, so guys, the Euro Tour, it is back, and at least it's not a full tour, but at least the European Championship final makeup will be a little bit better than one event.
Yeah, Hildesheim, going to be great. Can't wait. It's going to be fantastic, as it always is in Germany. And the weird thing is, they're not allowed to sing, are they? They're not allowed to sing. There's no fancy dress. What the hell is it going to be like when we go into
booked for coughing in football? The world's gone mad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's be brutally honest. How long is that no singing going to last? The fancy dress they can control because they won't let you in if you turn up in it. However, if Michael Van Gogh goes up there and hits a 9-dart, the place will erupt if they're all smashed.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be like this, Phill.
Like, we saw we saw the Asian legs of the World Series a number of years back when they first introduced it. It was dull. 150 people sat in a hotel conference room, not making any noise, with a polite, respectful clap every now and then. That is not televised crowd darts. At that point, don't put it in front of a crowd. Put it at MK. Blast some crowd noise in. It's better for us watching at home.
But the thing is, though, having yeah, go on. Sorry,
no,
go on.
No, go on, mate. Go on.
No, I was going to say, right. With Hildesheim, I think it's great that we've got fans back in the venue more than anything. Even if we don't get any singing, even if we don't have any, we've only have 500 per session, the fact we're going to have fans back in the building is massive. And someone asked me this, I think it was Richard Desardi asked me this on Twitter earlier today and said, do you think the Worlds might go to Germany if they can have fans in there? I think this is a big test for PDC, because if we can't have fans at the Ali Pali in London in December and we can have fans in Germany, somewhere in Germany, do not be surprised if the Worlds get moved. Really, I do believe that.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree that, look, no fans at Ali Pali or 1,700 in Germany. I think I know what'll happen. I think for a year they'll move it to get bodies in. Look, we don't know this, everyone. We're just talking about different scenarios here. But my gut would be yes. Point here from Philip as well, that potentially, obviously, the qualifiers were done for these Euro Tour events back in September and March. Dimitri Van den Berg hasn't qualified, so will not be at the European Championships as it stands.
Yeah,
he's asked our thoughts. Just one of them, mate. I don't think any of us saw what was going to happen back when the qualifiers happened. It's just bad luck. Unfortunately, on Dimitri, you think as well that there's a chance that Darrell Gurney and Adrian Lewis might not qualify because they didn't go to event number 1, so they're behind the 8 ball as well. They need to do bits to qualify as well. So I think it's just unfortunate. But like we said, the Euro Tour is back, which is the important thing. There's going to be fans in the arena, and it gives some proper perspective on the European Championship finals, because that could have been slightly off if there'd only been one event. So great news that darts is moving forward in Europe. And the PDC have potentially got some decisions to make. However, I kind of think if the rest of Europe are letting fans in, then the UK government will follow suit at some point. Because do they risk?
Well,
we tried it last week, didn't we? I mean, we ballsed it up, but we did try it, and there were trial events and that sort of thing. I think everyone got a little bit tetchy last minute with possible hotspots and spikes and all of that that's going on at the minute. But relative to where we have been before, I think all our admissions and all the data suggests that we're not anywhere near the significance of a full lockdown before. I think Joe and I have said it before that there might just get to a point where for sporting venues, you'll have to sign a disclaimer regarding Corona and it'll be on the back of your ticket or something. And I think that'll be the way that the world moves forward. Yeah, I'll go. And that's not me showing a disregard for human health and safety. No. I think that'll be the way the world works at some point.
The big one for me is going to be in November. The one that I am looking at for a potential return to fans is the Players' Championship Finals in Minehead. And I will say that until I am blue in the face. Not just because of the fact that it's a big event and it's tested seriously, also tested for the world, but the amount of people, they will get 5,000 people on site throughout that entire weekend at Butlins. It is a huge, huge revenue source of Butlins in particular, as well as the PDC.
I don't see 5,000 people at Minehead in November.
No, but I could see 2,500. I could see 2,500, 3,000 potentially in there if I can space it out across the two rooms, and then maybe on the Sunday it's a bit of a different story.
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there. Butlins, social distancing, spaced out. We've all been there. It is never happening in a million years.
I don't know what you're talking about. Saturday night. Saturday. There's never anything going on in particular at Butlins on a Friday or a Saturday night there. No, that's a fair point. But what I'd say is that one is crucial, because if we can get fans in for Butlins, we will get fans in for the Worlds. If we can't get fans in for the Worlds, then we are. So if we don't get fans in for Butlins, then we are in trouble. Then we are in big trouble for the Worlds.
I still think there's a chance of some fans for the Slam.
There we go. Where's the venue going to be? At the moment, it's the Audley Leisure Village, but we've all been to the Leisure Village. Again, social distancing very rarely in place there.
Yeah, we're all guessing and surmising here, but let's just hope. And Philip's obviously pointed out as well, White, Durrant, Chizzy didn't earn any money in Hasselt either. So the pressure is on them in these Euro tours as well. Patrick, what about the JDC in November? JDC in November. I'd say, again, I don't know, but my gut is that if the Euro tour has been cancelled, probably not looking good either for the JDC, mate. Just putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with somewhere around 4 and hoping I'm right. Here's a couple other questions. Daz, World Cup news, who will Team England be? Well, we don't know, is the honest answer, because we don't know when the cut-off is for the World Cup pairs.
No,
at the moment, it is Michael Smith, England captain, and Rob Cross. However, Nathan Aspinall's in the mix, and depending when the cut-off is, I still think Glenn Durrant's in the mix a little bit as well. If he went and won one of the TV tournaments, or that's what I mean. We don't know where the cutoff is, but
if he goes and wins the Grand Prix
semi-final,
if he goes and wins the Grand Prix, straight up there, he's right up there in the mix.
So right now, Team England will be Michael Smith and Rob Cross.
50 grand behind Rob Cross.
Yeah, but a final winning a semi-final, winning a final, and he's there. And the other thing you're not considering here, Mr. Garwood, is everyone else is defending money and Glenn Durrant isn't. And Glenn isn't.
Correct. Let you off.
So, Glenn Durrant firmly... Wade's got no chance. He's defending an absolute truckload.
He's winning the European Championship this year.
In James,
the other one
trust.
Is Team Holland. Team Holland. Christ, who's going to represent them? That's a minefield as well.
Can he not put comfortably? Well, not comfortably. He's one ranking spot ahead of Jermaine, and one 3 in a row is not put what Jermaine and this one.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, though, boys. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go on a limb here and say I think Michael van Gerwen might be the Dutch captain, but I appreciate that's a big shout at this point.
If we know the PDC, they'll drag Barney out from trench.
We've got one from Ben on YouTube. Potential England's women's team for the World Cup if countries can't travel. Right now, I'd say no. Right now, I'd say no. However, if teams genuinely can't travel, I wouldn't put it past the PDC, mate, at all, because it is unbelievable marketing. And could you imagine Fallon and Lisa in the World Cup? Actually, I'm warm into that idea. I like that.
I've been partial to A and B teams for a long time now. I think I mentioned it last year. I think that'd be the only thing that I'd have thrown into maybe expand the tournament. That and play pairs all the way. I don't like the singles format, but it's still my favourite event in the world.
Love the pairs, you do. You bloody love the pairs format.
You make it a 3-man team, 2 men and a lady in every team.
Whoa!
Do the rest of the world have the depth to play a female player?
I'm sure we can find them. Let's be fair. The early stages of the World Cup, they managed to find representatives from some right random nations that we'd never heard of.
Yeah, but they can play darts.
Failing that, Jose will put a skirt on and play for Portugal as well.
Can I just say,
some of the players have large enough chests.
Whilst we're talking about the World Cup, Philip, MVG and Vincent van der Voort would be amazing. I agree that is the best Dutch pairing for camaraderie and everything like that. That would be amazing.
But if Vincent van der Voort got into the World Cup, then there's no doubt in my mind that he wanted to just absolutely bulldoze down the Presthaller in Graz because he will hate it. He'll just hate everybody of the tour. So he'll go. So he'll go back to the Barclay card and play in Hamburg.
When is the next tournament? Big one. So Premier League in a couple of weeks on Sky, mate, and the World Series final on ITV. I think World Series final on ITV is the next one, which is late September. So not too long. So not too long.
Phil's already got his passport. Yeah. Phil's got his passport out, ready to go there, Daz. He's looking forward to getting straight out to Salzburg in September. He'll be going. Which was October. He's got it. He's absolutely loving that. If we gutted though, he's not going to Oktoberfest.
Well, to be fair, it's been really strange being at home when you spend probably 2/3 of the year living out of a suitcase and going everywhere. Don't get me wrong, it's something I love doing. It's been weird. It really has.
I can't wait for our first actual studio show. That when we're all in the same studio together, that's going to be fantastic.
Well, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. Let's be fair. I don't know where everyone is, but where I live, it's pretty much back to normal. I know we're not anywhere near one of the hotspots or anything like that. It's pretty much you go to Tesco's. They've got rid of their one-way system, and it's a free-for-all again. So you know it's getting back to normal. But it's like I say, it's just good. Good thing. Jack, Dimitri Vandenberg, and Kim for the World Cup. Look, it was those two last year as well, and that's a better team than Kim and Ronnie. Dimitri is a far better player than Ronnie. So,
I agree, but I think you said it earlier with the camaraderie with Vincent van der Voort and Michael van Gerwen. Kim and Ronnie just got each other. I used to love watching them two play together. The calmness that Ronnie brings to the game compared to the explosiveness of Kim. My favourite ever game of darts is Paul Nicholson versus Kim Huybrechts, where they both completely lost the plot. And the pairs game that followed that was won by Ronnie. Ronnie was unbelievable.
Yeah. Patrick, I tell you what, would you like to see it? We're just going to fly through some questions. Patrick, which country would you like to see in the World Cup, and which countries like to be removed? I'd like to see Portugal. I'd like to see Portugal in the World Cup. I don't know who played with Jose, but I'd like to see Portugal. I'd like to see Portugal.
I don't care who plays with him. I don't care who plays with him. Just get Jose de Sousa in the bloody World Cup now.
To be fair, as in removing teams, last year I think was the best World Cup we've ever had because everyone has come on leaps and bounds standard wise. So there wasn't a huge golfing class in the early rounds. So if I'm being honest, there's no one I'd really like to get rid of.
As long as the Philippines stay in, so I can see Lawrence Ilagan's action, I don't really give a damn who goes. As long as the Philippines stay in, anybody else can go.
The only other team I'd add is a team just made up of both Martin Atkins and watch people completely lose their head.
Martin Atkins.
I love that.
Hashtag Wigan.
Yeah, brackets Wigan.
Yeah, right, everyone. We've waffled for nearly an hour and 15 minutes of your day. We've covered, I think, guys, pretty much everything we needed to this week in the game. Can you think of anything we've missed?
Yes, I can, Phil. And that is, of course, we have our World Match Play signed program winners that we have to announce.
Anyone think we teed this up rather well?
No, well, exactly. We actually planned this show. Who knew? Gob there pretending as if he's going cricket rather than golf, but we go again. We move. So, right. We have two winners. We have one from Facebook and one from Twitter this time around. We'll start with the Facebook winner. That is Jack Derbyshire. Jack, congratulations, my friend. You will be getting one of our signed programs. We will DM you with all the details and ask for your details very, very shortly. And on Twitter, our winner on Twitter has been Karen Evans at CrazyCaz1961. Congratulations to you, Karen. You are also going to get a signed program from Dimitri van den Berg and Gary Anderson, of course, the two finalists at the Betfred World Match Play. Well done, PB, on getting the autographs there. It's almost as if you knew the players, according to your Instagram.
Well, I possibly couldn't comment on that. I don't know what you want about, lads.
No,
it's one of these things that happen.
I do have one more question before we go.
Go on,
what
mate.
topping was on the World Match Play Champions pizza?
It was a garlic chicken pizza.
Garlic chicken?
He wanted plenty. He asked for extra garlic, actually, did our Dimitri.
Wow, fair play to him. Well, don't forget as well, of course, remember, guys, if you haven't been able to watch the whole entire show, don't worry about it because we will be putting it out on our podcast channels across the week. And we're coming out to you probably later on tomorrow. And a reminder, of course, we're now available on Apple Podcasts. Thank the bloody Lord. It has been, you do not understand the amount of emails that I've been going back and forth with Apple over the last few weeks. But we're finally there. Just find us on there. Just search the Online Darts Lounge and subscribe and make sure that you don't miss a thing there.
Well, everyone, that brings us to a close. Remember, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. We are very busy on it. So make sure you don't miss anything that we do. And, of course, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we have them all. I'm Phill Bars, joined by Jarleth and Jack Gobby Garwood. As always, we will see you next week for another live lounge. Everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure.